What if I told you the moment you let him go is the exact moment he starts to fall for you? Not when you beg, not when you prove your worth, not even when you give him everything he says he wants, but when you stop chasing, stop waiting, and stop trying to convince him, something shifts. And that shift, it's magnetic. See, most women are taught that love means holding on, fixing, giving more, being available. But here's the truth they don't teach us. Sometimes love is knowing when to walk away and meaning it. And when you do, you activate a powerful force most people never tap into, your feminine detachment. It's not code, it's not manipulation, it's not playing games. It's self-respect in motion. And men, they feel it deeply. In fact, most men don't fall hardest when they have you. They fall hardest when they lose access to the version of you who loved them deeply and walked anyway. This video is going to show you why that works. The psychology, the emotional triggers, the patterns high-value women naturally follow that cause men to reevaluate everything after she's gone. So if you've ever been the girl who gave too much and got too little, or if you're done trying to prove your worth to someone who can't see it, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you won't just understand the power of letting go, you'll own it. Let's dive in. When a man starts to pull away, most women immediately go into panic mode. You feel it in your chest, that tight, anxious feeling that something's slipping through your fingers. The texts slow down. The calls become less frequent, and suddenly you're questioning everything. Did I say something wrong? Did I come on too strong? Is he losing interest? But here's what's actually happening, and it has way more to do with him than it does with you. Psychologically, men often retreat when they begin to feel emotionally overwhelmed, unsure, or when they hit a depth of connection that forces them to confront their own feelings they may not be ready to deal with. It's not always logical, it's often unconscious, and it triggers a deep internal conflict, the desire for closeness versus the fear of vulnerability. So what do a lot of women do when this starts? They overcompensate, they text more, initiate everything, try to fix the vibe, but every time you do that, you're stepping further into his avoidance and away from your own self-worth. Men need space to process their emotions, but more importantly, they need to feel what your absence does to them, because emotional clarity doesn't always come through closeness. Sometimes it only comes through distance. And here's the twist. When you don't chase, when you let the silence speak, you're actually creating the perfect environment for him to reconnect with his own desire. Not obligation, not guilt, but pure internal motivation. This is why walking away, or even just pulling your energy back, can be so effective. It forces him to sit in the discomfort of missing you. It invites him to choose you without your prompting. But most importantly, it keeps your power intact. Because the moment you stop trying to convince someone of your value is the moment they start to question why they didn't see it sooner. The pullback isn't rejection, it's a test. And how you respond determines whether you stay a convenience or become unforgettable. It's one of the most frustrating truths in dating and relationships. Men often realize what they had after it's already gone. And by the time they understand the depth of your love, your loyalty, and your presence, you're already walking away, or worse, healing. So why does this happen? Men don't fall in love the same way women do. Emotionally, most women connect as they get to know someone. They build closeness through communication, consistency, shared moments. But many men connect through reflection, meaning they often don't recognize the emotional weight of a relationship until they're no longer in it. During the relationship, they may take your effort for granted. They assume you'll always be there answering the phone, forgiving the disappointment, showing up with your heart wide open. You become part of their routine, part of their comfort zone. And when something feels secure for too long without being challenged, human nature kicks in. They stop valuing it. It's not that you weren't enough. It's that your love was too accessible, too reliable, too unconditional. In a world where most people are used to chasing what they can't have, then comes the silence, the shift. The moment you stop reaching out, the moment you stop trying to hold it all together, at first, he might not even notice. He thinks it's just a phase. But slowly the absence becomes louder than your presence ever was. No more texts, no more checking in, no more you. And it hits him, not all at once, but in quiet, painful waves. He remembers the way you laughed when he was being ridiculous, the way you always understood what he meant, even when he didn't say it right, the way you made him feel safe without ever asking for it in return. That emotional labor, that love, is not something he can just go out and replace. And suddenly, the women he meets feel empty. They don't match your energy. They don't see him like you did, because he's not just missing a woman, he's missing you. But by now, you're glowing differently, healing, growing, evolving. You're no longer the version of yourself who tolerated confusion, mixed signals, or breadcrumbs. And that's what stings the most, because he doesn't just miss you, he misses a version of you that no longer exists. Men realize too late because they're often not taught how to emotionally connect until they lose something real. They're taught to prioritize the chase, the ego, the conquest, not the depth. And by the time they look for depth, it's already gone. So if he's starting to notice your absence, good. Let him feel the weight of what he mishandled, because you are always the prize. And sometimes the only way he sees it is after you've left the table for good. There's something undeniably magnetic about a high-value woman. And no, it's not about looks, money, or how many followers she has. Her power doesn't come from what she wears or what she posts. It comes from the energy she carries. A high-value woman is a woman who knows who she is, and more importantly, acts like it. When a man meets a woman like that, he may not always realize it right away. At first, she seems subtle, maybe even a little mysterious. She's not the loudest in the room. She's not trying to prove anything. But over time, it becomes clear. She's different, she's rare, and she's unforgettable. The high-value woman doesn't chase. Not because she's playing hard to get, but because she genuinely understands that someone who wants her will make the effort. She doesn't beg for attention, over-explain her worth, or sit around wondering if she's too much. She's not afraid to walk away from anything that threatens her peace. And that alone makes her stand out in a world full of people desperate to be chosen. She doesn't tolerate mixed signals, because she's not afraid of being alone. Her life is already full of passion, goals, standards, and boundaries. And when a man enters her world, he has to rise to meet her, not the other way around. Now, here's where the effect really hits. Most men are used to women trying to be chosen, to please, to prove, to play the cool girl who doesn't ask for much. So when they meet a woman who doesn't need them but chooses them, it shakes them deeply. That's what makes her unforgettable. She'll support you, but she won't lose herself in you. She'll love you, but never at the cost of her own needs. She's warm but not naive, kind but not a pushover. And if she walks away, she doesn't slam the door. She just stops showing up because she already knows her worth. And she's not about to sit where she's undervalued. This kind of woman forces a man to step into his best self or risk losing her. And not every man is ready for that. Some will pull away, some will fumble, some will come back months or even years later, trying to reconnect with the energy they couldn't appreciate at the time. But by then, she's usually moved on, because she's not interested in going backwards. She's building, evolving, expanding. She knows what she brings to the table, and she's not afraid to eat alone. What makes the high-value woman effect so powerful is that it isn't performative. She's not pretending to be confident while secretly craving validation. Her energy is real, rooted, unshakable. And even if she still has insecurities, like all of us, she doesn't let them dictate her standards. She doesn't chase potential. She doesn't cling to what's not choosing her back. And she definitely doesn't settle for breadcrumbs when she knows she deserves the whole damn bakery. Men remember her because she represents something they didn't know they needed. A woman who doesn't need to be completed. And whether he realizes it in the moment or far too late, the one thing he knows for sure is this: he'll never forget her. There's something almost ironic about the moment a woman finally walks away. It's quiet. It's not loud or dramatic. There's no final argument, no last attempt to be understood. Just a shift, a calm, grounded decision to remove herself from what no longer aligns. And that right there, that moment, is when the obsession begins. Men don't become obsessed when you're constantly available, waiting on them or begging for clarity. They become obsessed when the access they once took for granted disappears. Because when you walk away, you interrupt a pattern. You shatter the illusion that you'll always be there, no matter how inconsistent or careless they were. And suddenly he's no longer in control of the dynamic. You are. The psychology behind this is rooted in something called loss aversion, a principle in behavioral science that shows people feel the pain of loss much more intensely than they feel the pleasure of gain. So when a man senses he's losing you, his brain kicks into a kind of emotional panic. He may not even know why he's spiraling, but deep down he's feeling the sudden void where your love, energy, and presence used to be. Here's where it gets more powerful. When a high-value woman walks away, she doesn't just leave physically. She takes her energy with her, and that's what he's really chasing. It's not about just having you back. It's about getting back to the way he felt when he had access to you. Because your love wasn't ordinary. Your vibe wasn't replaceable. And even if he tried to act like he didn't care while you were there, now that you're gone, he can't stop thinking about you. That's the thing. Obsession doesn't come from overexposure. It comes from withdrawal. And when you remove yourself from the equation, you give him the rare opportunity to feel the full weight of your absence. No texts, no reactions, no emotional safety net, just silence. And in that silence, he starts remembering everything. Your smile, your presence, the way you listened when no one else did, the way you believed in him, even when he didn't believe in himself. You're no longer just that girl he dated. You become a symbol, a mirror of everything he couldn't handle when he had it. Now, does this mean walking away always leads to obsession? Not necessarily. It depends on how much emotional impact you had on him. But if you were real, present, nurturing, and authentic, chances are your departure hit deep. Because men don't obsess over women who beg. They obsess over the ones who disappear with dignity. That's what stays on his mind. That's what haunts him at night. Not the girl who tried to win him over, but the one who never needed to. And here's the twist. When you walk away from a place of self-worth, not spite, it leaves the door open for him to reflect, evolve, and realize he was never the one holding the power. You were. So while he might try to act like he's fine, check his behavior. Is he watching your stories but not reaching out? Is he suddenly interested in what you're doing? Is he showing up in your orbit again, trying to casually reconnect? That's not coincidence, that's obsession, sparked not by your presence, but by your absence. And the most beautiful part, you're no longer walking away to get a reaction. You're walking away because you finally remembered who you are. Let's talk about the trap. Almost every woman has fallen into, at some point, the pick-me trap. You might not have called it that at the time, but you've probably felt it. The subtle or not so subtle urge to mold yourself into what you think a man wants just so he'll choose you. It starts small. Maybe you downplay your standards to seem chill. You laugh at things that don't feel right. You shrink your needs, ignore red flags, and tell yourself you're just being understanding. You start to accept less, not because it feels good, but because you're afraid that asking for more will push him away. That's the trap. The pick-me woman isn't weak. She's just stuck in a mindset that says love has to be earned through sacrifice. She thinks if she's cool enough, pretty enough, patient enough, low maintenance enough, he'll finally wake up and see her worth. But here's the hard truth. A man who can only love you when you're shrinking yourself is not a man who's capable of loving you fully. The pick-me trap convinces you to trade your authenticity for approval. It turns dating into a performance instead of a partnership. You're no longer asking, do I actually like him? Instead, you're asking, what can I do to make him like me? And the problem with that is simple. You can't attract the right person while pretending to be someone you're not. Men might be drawn to a pick-me woman at first because she's easy to please, low pressure, always available. But over time, that energy becomes predictable. And worse, forgettable. Why? Because it lacks depth. It lacks boundaries. It lacks self-respect. Real men, emotionally available, grounded men are drawn to women who have a clear sense of self, who know what they want, who don't fear losing someone who isn't showing up. Because that confidence, that unbothered, grounded energy, it's rare and it's magnetic. Avoiding the pick-me trap doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop overgiving. It means you start asking, is this person even capable of meeting me where I'm at? Instead of what more can I do to make him stay? And here's the twist. When you stop trying to be chosen, and start choosing yourself, everything shifts. You begin to attract from a place of truth. And yes, some people will fall away. That's okay, because the ones who stay, they're choosing the real you, not the filtered, watered down version who's terrified of being too much. Stepping out of the pick-me trap requires courage. It means facing the fear that if you show up fully as yourself, with your standards, your values, your energy, some people won't want it. And you know what? Some won't. But the ones who do won't just pick you. They'll respect you. They'll value you. They'll show up because they want to, not because you bent over backwards to convince them. So if you find yourself chasing validation, compromising your values, or waiting on breadcrumbs, pause. Ask yourself, am I trying to be chosen, or am I choosing me? Because the minute you stop auditioning for love, you become the woman who doesn't just get picked. You become the woman who chooses who's worthy of access, and that's the energy that changes everything. Let's get real about something that's often misunderstood in the dating world. Detachment versus disinterest. Too often, women try to reclaim their power by being unbothered, by going cold, withholding affection, or playing hard to get in an effort to protect their hearts. And while that can feel like strength, what's really happening underneath is a blur between healthy detachment and emotional disinterest. So let's make this clear. Detachment is a boundary. Disinterest is an exit. When you're detached, you're still open to love, connection, intimacy, but you're not obsessed with the outcome. You're not chasing. You're not performing. You're showing up as your full self and allowing others to do the same without gripping too tightly. Detachment says, I'm here because I choose to be, not because I need to be. Disinterest says, I don't care if you're here or not. I've already checked out. The energy is completely different. A detached woman feels deeply, but she doesn't lose herself in the process. She gives space. She receives love, but never begs for it. She knows her value, and she lets her energy speak louder than her words. That confidence isn't cold. It's calm. It's rooted. It's magnetic. On the flip side, disinterest feels like emotional unavailability. It's guarded. It's dismissive. It's indifferent. It creates distance, not to protect peace, but to avoid connection. And trust me, people can feel the difference. Men can feel the difference. Detachment invites a man to rise up and choose you because he sees your value and respects your space. Disinterest pushes him away, often permanently, because it communicates, I don't want this, I'm already gone. Sometimes we blur the line between the two because we've been hurt. We build walls and call them boundaries. We shut down emotionally and label it as standing in our power. But real power isn't in disconnecting from love. It's in loving wisely. Here's the truth. You can be deeply connected to someone and still be detached. You can care, love, hope, and still walk away the moment you feel you're being disrespected or undervalued. That's detachment. It doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't cling. You don't fall into the spiral of overanalyzing texts, chasing closure, or trying to fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. You let people show you who they are, and you respond with discernment, not desperation. Disinterest, though, is when you stop caring altogether. You stop investing, stop nurturing, stop showing up emotionally. Even when you're still physically present, it's when you've emotionally checked out but haven't walked away yet. And that creates confusion, both for you and the other person. To ask yourself, am I setting healthy emotional boundaries, or am I building walls so high no one can reach me? Detachment empowers you. Disinterest isolates you. Detachment says, I love myself enough to not force what's not meant. Disinterest says, I don't even want to try. When you master the art of intentional detachment, you're not removing yourself from love. You're just removing yourself from anything that threatens your peace. And that's the sweet spot where attraction grows, where a man sees you as someone he wants to pursue, not because you're playing games, but because your energy is clear, grounded, and self-honoring. So be mindful of the line. Be aware of the energy you're putting out, because the goal isn't to not care. The goal is to care deeply, just never at your own expense. Let's end this with the truth most people avoid. Walking away is not weakness. It's one of the highest forms of self-respect. Because there's a power, a quiet, undeniable power in the woman who chooses herself, not out of bitterness, not out of revenge, but because she finally realizes that staying where she's not seen, chosen, or valued is the real loss. Walking away with power doesn't mean you didn't love deeply. It doesn't mean you didn't try. It means you gave what you could, and when it was no longer being received with care, you took your heart back. And that is bold. That is sacred. That is strength. Because anyone can stay. Anyone can beg. Anyone can lose themselves trying to hold on to someone who's already drifting. But it takes a woman with clarity to stand up, straighten her crown, and say, I deserve more than this. You see, the woman who walks away with power isn't looking over her shoulder. She's not hoping he comes running. She's not performing detachment. She embodies it. She walks with grace, knowing that her worth isn't determined by how someone treated her, but by how she chooses to move forward. There's something magnetic about that. Because while she might be grieving privately, she refuses to let that pain redefine her. She doesn't turn cold. She doesn't lose her softness, but she also doesn't settle. She lets the pain grow her, not shrink her. And here's what men eventually realize, sometimes too late. The moment she walks away is the moment they finally see her, because the light they once ignored is now gone. The peace they once had access to, no longer available. The warmth, the effort, the presence, all gone. And not out of spite, but out of self-preservation. That's what haunts them. Because she wasn't just another woman. She was the one who knew how to love without losing herself. The one who saw them clearly, even when they couldn't see themselves. And when she left, she didn't just take her time or affection. She took back her energy, the very thing that made her unforgettable. And that right there is the shift. You don't walk away to teach him a lesson. You walk away because you learned yours. You learned that staying isn't loyalty if it costs you your dignity. You learned that chasing love drains the very love you're trying to protect. You learned that you can't force someone to meet you at the level you've outgrown. Walking away with power is not about winning or losing. It's about choosing alignment over attachment, self-respect over confusion, peace over potential. And from that space, you don't just attract better, you become better. So if you're at that edge, wondering if letting go means giving up, hear this. Letting go of what's not choosing you is not giving up. It's leveling up. It's you deciding that your love, your time, your soul are sacred, that your story deserves more than half love, and maybe that you'd rather walk alone in truth than stay together in illusion. And when you walk away with that kind of clarity, you don't lose power, you become power. So wherever you are right now, whether you're healing, hurting, or rising, just know the strength is already within you. And walking away might just be the most powerful thing you ever do. So now that you've heard it all, the truth about letting go, the psychology behind obsession, and the quiet strength in walking away, the question becomes, what do you do next? If the answer stings, good. That means clarity is finally showing up, and clarity is the beginning of change. Next, begin shifting your energy inward. Pour all that effort, attention, and love you were giving to someone else back into you. Because the moment you reconnect with your value, your power, and your peace, everything changes. First, take a breath. You don't need to rush into action. This isn't about being cold or cutting people off to prove a point. It's about checking in with yourself. Are you honoring your own worth? Are you holding on to something that's no longer holding you? Are you pouring into someone who keeps showing you an empty cup? If the answer stings, good. That means clarity is finally showing up, and clarity is the beginning of change. Next, begin shifting your energy inward. Pour all that effort, attention, and love you were giving to someone else back into you. Because the moment you reconnect with your value, your power, and your peace, everything changes. And lastly, trust this truth. You don't need to chase, convince, or beg for love. The right energy won't confuse you. It won't make you question your place. It will meet you where you are, fully. So what should you do next? Start choosing yourself, louder this time. Set boundaries, own your softness and your strength. Walk away when staying would mean losing yourself. And never forget, you are the prize. And if you needed this message today, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend. Save it. Come back to it on the days when you forget your power, because this isn't the end of your story. It's the start of your glow up.